often used interchangeably with proprioception, although the latter is usually considered to include information from the vestibular system, which is involved in controlling posture and balance, along with the sensory information from muscles, tendons, and joints. The essential element of haptics and haptic exploration is that there is active movement of the hand, so that the sensory information a person receives does not come just from passive contact, but from actively exploring the environment. This distinction is important because the knowledge we get when we squeeze a peach to see if it is ripe, or lift a package to determine its weight, is usually much more detailed and precise than what we can obtain if the peach or package is placed on our outstretched hand resting on a table. Haptic sensing, therefore, differs from other senses like vision and audition in that it is bidirectional. The information we can extract about an object's properties is exquisitely linked to the movements made to perceive those properties. In the act of exploring an object, we may even change its properties, such as when we exert too much force on a ripe strawberry and crush it, permanently altering its shape. Such irreversible interactions do not occur in vision or audition. The act of looking at a tree or listening to music does not change its state. As a sensory system, haptics is remarkably efficient at processing the material characteristics of objects, for example, their surface textures, and is the sensory system of choice when making such judgments. If we want to determine whether a scratch on a table has marred the surface or is just a superficial mark, we will usually move our fingers along the table to feel the depth of the scratch rather than simply relying on visual cues. Over the past decade, the field of haptics has emerged beyond the purview of engineers and scientists to a much broader audience interested in recreating the tactile and haptic feedback now absent in their interactions with smartphones, tablets, and virtual and augmented reality systems. The challenge here is to reproduce, in a virtual world, some of the sensations associated with normal physical interactions with the environment, like the warmth and softness of human skin, or the vibrations associated with driving over a potholed road. With the advent of more sophisticated and higher-resolution head-mounted displays, such as HoloLens, Microsoft, Gear VR, Samsung, and Oculus Rift, Facebook, comes the need to add a physical dimension to the visual interactions, particularly when these systems are used for education and training. In addition, since so many of our interactions are with touchscreens, there is growing recognition of the importance of creating virtual haptic effects on these physical surfaces, an area known as surface haptics. Finally, with the growth of wearable technologies, there is renewed interest in using the skin as a medium of communication to offload the overworked visual and auditory sensory systems. The focus of such work is to determine whether we can develop tactile displays that have greater potential for communication than the simple vibration signals currently implemented as alerts and notification in many devices. More sophisticated communication systems, based on vibrotactile patterns, have yet to be developed, although the functionality does exist in some devices to create them. Tactile system. The sensory modality that relates to the body senses is often referred to as the somatosensory system, although it is really made up of a number of submodalities. A broad distinction can be made between sensory information that originates in the skin and that which comes from muscles and joints. However, even within the skin itself, there are 4 recognized submodalities, often collectively referred to as the cutaneous senses. The skin senses are touch, temperature, pain, and itch. It has been proposed that a 5th modality exists that conveys the positive, affective, pleasant properties of touch. Touch and temperature contribute to the discriminative functions of the skin by providing us with information about temporal and spatial events on the body. Based on the sensory signals that come from tactile and temperature receptors in the skin, we can